Greetings, I hope you're well. You can buy a new MX5 for about 25 grand in the UK and the same shape used from about 10,000. I know it's great owning a new or newish car, but are there some better modern classic alternatives with no depreciation? The Lotus Elan. This is a very good looking classic wedge-shaped sports car which has those lovely twin pop-up lights which you'll never see on a new car ever again. It was made and produced while owned by General Motors. It was going to be axed after a couple of years, but the new owners Bugatti found a load of engines in a shed and carried on making it. It's a front-engined and front-wheel drive sports car with a 5-speed manual gearbox, and it's powered by a very reliable solid engine, an Isuzu engine, which is a 1.6 litre 16-valve turbo. It has 155 or 165 brake horsepower, and that turbo nicely kicks in at 4,000 RPM. This Elan is a good fun car to drive, and it's nice and light because the body's made of fiberglass and you get no rust or dents, but check for cracks instead. It's got a nice easy manual roof, the interior is a bit dated, but this car will turn heads, and it has that prestige Lotus badge. You can buy decent cars from around £6,000 to £8,000, but I found this Elan imported from Japan, only 24,000 miles from new, it's from a dry climate, it's got air conditioning, it's only £12,000. The Porsche 968 convertible. Considering this car was made when Porsche were really financially struggling, I think they did an excellent job. It's the peak of the 944's evolution. It evolved so much they decided to call it the 968 and not the 944 S3 as planned, because it's 80% different from the 944, although it looks pretty similar. It uses the same 3-litre 4-cylinder engine from the 944 S2, but now it has variable valve timing, which pushes the brake horsepower to 245. It's a front-engined, rear-wheel drive car with perfect 50-50 weight distribution, and it uses a 6-speed manual or 4-speed auto. Ideally, you want the manual though. The car's pretty rare, as they only made it for 3 years. The car's headlights still pop up, but they're more of a 928 style light. The interior is nice inside, similar to a 944, good quality, and it has a power roof. The car will definitely turn heads. You're driving a rare Porsche. It's a well-engineered, good solid car, and it looks gorgeous. Prices have been rising these last few years, but you can buy an excellent condition manual 968 with just over 100,000 miles for about £13,000. Lower mileage cars are more around 20. The Vauxhall VX220. This is fast becoming a modern classic. It's an extreme alternative to an MX5, but I have known people use them as daily drivers. And if you want a fun open-top motoring experience in a rapid car, this could be an option. It's very quick, quicker than the Elise that was out at the same time. There's a 2.2 naturally aspirated 4-cylinder version with 145 brake horsepower, or the 2-litre turbo with 200 brake horsepower, which will do 0 to 60 in just over 4 seconds with no turbo lag, and the car's nice and light at 875 kilograms. It's a mid-engined, rear-wheel drive sports car, and it has a 5-speed manual gearbox. Designed and developed by the people at Lotus and built on the same production line as the Lotus Elise. Now, even though this car looks great, it has an awesome performance, it wasn't a massive success, and I think that was down to badge snobbery, which is a shame. It's a relatively low insurance group, it's cheap to run, and it's cheap to maintain. The car's quite raw and stripped out and basic inside. The roof comes off nice and easy, and it has a hard top too. Now, prices start at about £12,000 for cars with low miles, that's for the 2.2 model, and £15,000 will buy you a very nice, low mileage turbo version. Now something completely different, the MG RV8 Roadster. Let's not get this confused with the MGF or TF, this is a different beast altogether. Like its name, this MG has a 3.9 Rover V8, which has been used in many cars like the Range Rover and Morgan. It has 190 brake horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. This was an expensive car when it was new back in the early 90s. They only made it for 3 years, they only made 2,000 and most of them were sold in Japan, so it's very rare. This MG looks like the MGBs of old. It's loosely based on it too. It oozes 60s and 70s period charm, but feels a lot more newer and modern. It's a 5-speed manual, front-engined, rear-wheel drive car. It has no power steering, so you want to get that retro-fitted. Now, I realise this has a bit of a grandad image, but just see past that. There's lots of leather inside and wood, it's very comfortable, and overall, it's a gorgeous-looking, rare roadster with plenty of power, and it sounds great. Prices have been rising these last few years, but I found this RV8 60,000 miles for £17,000 in a lovely usable condition. The TVR Chimera. Produced in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was more of an everyday use TVR, less intimidating than other models available. 5,500 were made, and it shared its chassis with the TVR Griffith. Various engines were available throughout the years, a 4 litre, a 4.3, 4.5 and a 5 litre, and they were all Rover V8s, with the brake horsepower ranging from 240 to 340 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 5 seconds. They're all 5-speed manuals and rear-wheel drive. The body is made of fiberglass, so there's no rust or dents, but check for rust on the steel chassis. The interior is typically TVR. It's very unique and stylish. It's cosy inside as well, with its high transmission tunnel. It has a manual roof, and I really like the hidden door handles. It's got quite a large boot as well. Now let's not pretend this car's cheap to run, because it's not, but there's no depreciation either. It's a very raw drive, there's no traction control, so you do have to be a little bit careful, but you will enjoy driving this Blackpool Rocket quite a lot. Prices start at about £10,000 to £11,000, all the way up to cars priced at £20,000. The Honda S2000, it's another great MX5 modern classic alternative. It's great looking, it's fast, and it feels pretty modern still. But I spoke about this car in my last video, so if you haven't seen it, please check that one out. Now the great thing about modern classic cars is that there's so many to choose from, there's too many to put in one video. From AMG Roadsters, M cars, TVRs, so I might make another video about them in the future. Anyway, please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe. I'm going to go now, I'll see you later.